She is fighting to keep her congressional district just the way it is now, while the cloud of a criminal and an ethics investigation hangs over her head.
Veteran Jacksonville Democrat Corrine Brown in federal court in Tallahassee today, seeking to postpone the redistricting decision by the Florida Supreme Court until after the November election. I-Team investigator Lindsey Gardner standing by with an update on Brown's legal troubles. But first, Channel 4's Jim Pickett has an update on the redistricting battle.
It took about an hour and 20 minutes in federal court today, and all sides presented their case. Yet this was a filled courtroom with people packed in and even in an overflow room. They just want to hear what's going to happen, and this could play a big impact on all congressional districts in Florida. Busloads of Corrine Brown supporters came from Jacksonville in order to see what would happen in federal court. At issue is Corrine Brown's newly drawn district approved by the state Supreme Court. It now stretches from Jacksonville to west of Tallahassee. No longer is District 5 this odd-shaped area that goes from Jacksonville to Orlando. But in federal court, Brown and about 20 voters from the old district are suing to throw it out. They claim the new district will not allow African Americans to be elected. Today, they asked a judge for a stay to put the new district on hold until after the November election.
And I do think it's an organized effort to take me out now. Now, I do believe that.
3 judges are hearing this case at once because they know the significance of the decision. What happens here could play a role in all of the districts redrawn by the state. In testimony, the judges heard from the attorney representing the League of Women Voters, which stepped in because they believed the state was not defending the new map adequately. The League of Women Voters believes Brown's claim of not being able to win is wrong and cites statistics to prove their point.
We argued in the hearing today that the map will elect in District 5, the new District 5, and in District 10, the African American preferred candidate of choice will likely be elected.
Brown's answer to that is there are very few African Americans currently elected in that area now.
But the point is, do not disenfranchise the people that I represent. And the League of Women Voters don't speak for nobody in this room, not one.
After the hearing, Brown's group headed to a lunch. It was here where she addressed the media and said that she could only talk about the congressional district and not her other problems, even though she did allude to them. When asked if she could win in this new district, this is what she said.
I'm going to wait until the court rule. I'm going to wait and see what the court is going to say. You know, everybody says, well, you can win anywhere. It's not about me winning. It's about the African Americans having an opportunity to elect a candidate of their choice.
So the judges are waiting for more information from Corrine Brown's side and from the League of Women Voters. They're going to come back about mid-April, April 11th, and that's when we might hear a decision. They need to do it before the November election. Jim Pickett, Channel 4, the local station.
Well, during her news conference in Tallahassee, Brown did not address the specifics of the criminal investigation or the ethics investigation, except to admit she's scared.
As the I-Team has reported, the Justice Department is digging into possible wrongdoing by the Congresswoman in connection with a questionable Virginia charity, One Door for Education. I-Team investigator Lindsey Gardner talked to a former federal prosecutor to get his perspective on this investigation, which Lindsey has already produced one guilty plea.
It has, Tom, and it's outlined right here in this 33-page plea agreement on a charge of conspiracy to commit wire fraud against that charity director, Carla Wiley, an associate of Brown's. Well, half of it, about 15 pages, is a fact sheet about the crime. It is the longest list of facts our former federal prosecutor had ever seen in his career in a case. But glaringly missing, he says, is any kind of smoking gun to prove Brown knew One Door was not a valid charity.
I'm clean. Goodness, clean. Yes.
Congresswoman Corrine Brown saying today she's not guilty of the allegations floating around her, tying her to Carla Wiley, the director of One Door for Education, a charity that federal prosecutors say was never properly registered with the IRS, but still brought in hundreds of thousands of dollars. We've shown you this 2013 golf flyer for an event hosted by Corrine Brown and sponsored by One Door for Education. The Department of Justice has served Brown a subpoena subpoena, but stopped short of naming her as a co-conspirator in the federal plea deal with Wiley, saying only that someone involved as Person A is a public official. After weeks of heavy scrutiny, Brown admitting today she's concerned.
I think it's scary anytime anybody come and ask you questions. But the point is, if you know the answers to the questions and you have a team of attorneys that's working on it, you let them handle it, period.
Scared for good reason, says attorney Curtis Fallgatter. He served 17 years as a federal prosecutor in Jacksonville.
You can't look at an indictment where they put your name as Person A and you know you're Person A and not be alarmed. And, you know, the truth of the matter is innocent people get charged, innocent people get convicted.
Fallgatter specializes in white-collar crimes like this. He says so far, critical proof is missing.
So it's crucial for that fraud to exist that someone know. There's nothing that I've read in here that would suggest that Representative Brown had any knowledge that the charity wasn't legitimate.
In Fallgatter's expert opinion, Brown could have a viable defense if this case goes any further.
She was a victim also of a good faith belief that this was a valid charity.
In reading the documents, though, do you think the federal government views Person A, possibly Corrine Brown, as a victim or a co-conspirator?
The latter.
Are you surprised the scheme went as far as it did for as long as it did?
No. Again, who is looking at one door? Who's checking their records? Probably nobody. Charities aren't investigated to determine do they spend the money correctly. Your station's covered recently, you know, the Wounded Warriors. A great organization, but maybe they didn't spend the money as wisely as some people would think.
Fallgatter admits the case against Brown is unusual, the first he's seen at the federal level against a local congressional official in 40 years. Now, based on the federal government having a cooperating witness in Carla Wiley with her plea, Fallgatter estimates if an indictment is coming, we should know in the next 1 to 3 months.
Thank you, Lindsay. Our coverage of this big story does not end here. Up right now on our website, news4jax.com, we have Congresswoman Brown's entire news conference today. Just look for the link inside this story on the homepage.